I got this rather heavily split piece of yew that's very dry, and I'm going to try and mount it up so I can turn it end grain and then hollow it out, leaving the edge pattern visible. First thing I've got to do is work out exactly where this is going to sit, because it is currently squiff on both sides where I thought the centres might be. Okay, that's slightly better balanced without it hitting too much at the bottom, so it's almost square on this side but well off on that side. To hog out the centre, I decided to get the woodcut hollowing tool out, which I think is designed for the end grain like this, and it's extremely effective, taking out about a 5mm cut on a pull cut quite easily. In fact, it'll take out an even larger amount if you don't keep hold of it and keep control of it. Very effective though for this type of hollowing out. With the bulk of the material hollowed out, I could trim the sidewall a little with the woodcut hollowing tool, but after that I finished it all off with scrapers, and also made a flat bottom with a sort of a nice sharp transition between the base and the side. I couldn't finesse it as much as I would normally have liked because the bowl was starting to split and needed gluing on a couple of occasions, which I haven't filmed, unfortunately. But net result was that I decided then to not finesse the outside anymore, but start texturing it and using the rotary tools on it and making it a bit wrecked and distressed. So this was done using the new to me 18-volt Ryobi cordless system, which was pretty effective, and using a variety of the carbide burrs to cut out the holes, cut out the slots and make them more of a feature. Because of the fact that the log was quite non-uniform, the thickness varies from about 1 or 2 mil through to about 10 or 12 mil, which is okay. It means that you can get some nice little windows like that appearing through it. I'm not sure what the primary function of this will be. It's a thingy. Perhaps it'll take a nice big candle sitting in the middle. And after I'd opened up a lot of the cracks to make them more dominant, I then textured it in a sort of sinuous vine-like pattern using the very pointy carbide, and then I also went over those cut lines afterwards with the pyrography tool, and then sanded the whole thing up using a mixture of sanding tools, including the rotary tool with the sanding flat wheel on it. Some Chestnut cellulose sanding sealer on it, all over it to seal it all up, and then some gluing of the cracks again needed. And rather than trying to hide the cracks, I experimented using the Chestnut black CA super glue, first time I've used it, which was quite effective. It's not as black as black. It looks blacker than it actually ends up when it dries, and it does take quite a long time to dry. So there's a bit more fiddling with it than normal CA glue, and also put some sawdust in the cracks as well. Oh well, technically this was actually coffee grounds rather than sawdust, because I wanted it to highlight and make it blacker. And then to highlight the grooving, I used the Peter Child's pyrography system to go around and burn the slots. Took quite a long time, all this did. The outside at this stage looked pretty boring. I wanted it to look a bit more distressed, as if it sort of come out of a fire pit or something. So I've grabbed some Hampshire Sheen burnt orange and rubbed it on. It sits on top of the sanding sealer, so it needs rubbing in and drying with a rag in order to get it set. And because the stain isn't going all the way into the finish because it's sealed, I'll grab some of the Inka Golds, bronze and reds, and I'm just going to put those on. They always dry out in the pot, so I either spritz them with some water or some flow medium to actually soften them up, and then dab them on, and if I put too much on, I go back to the sponge and spread it out with that, or dry the brush on a rag and then just put little bits on like that. And then, as always when I'm doing it, I don't know what I'm going to do next, so I just grab some Chestnut rainbow wax, which is a fresh pot, so it's quite easy to put it on with a dry brush technique. And then just a little bit of one of the rainbow wax's petrol colour, just to add a few little flecks of different tone. And then because it's around, some gold just to sort of bring it up a little bit. In between rubbing it back with the sponge just to blend it in. And then because again I'm in the paint box, I've got some Dale Rowney iridescent stuff, which is a red, and just a little bit of that rubbed on with a glove, just blended in. You don't even know that it's there, it just adds a little subtle additional iridescence to it. Yeah, well, all right, and then a bit more chestnut red iridescent pearlescent paint, just a few bits of that just rubbed into the gaps. And then just a little bit of dry brushing of a bit of the chestnut iridescent turquoise. Okay, now to finish the bottom off, got my trusty jam chuck with wetsuit material on it. It just happens to fit, coincidentally. No pre-planning, it's just good luck. And then using the 1/2 inch spindle gouge, just doing some pull cuts just to dress off the bottom. So using the spindle gouge to sneak in, using the rubbing of the side bevel to get down there to leave a nub as small as I sensibly can in order to make sure it doesn't come flying off. With the bottom smooth and level, I just used the large Sorby texturing wheel to do some patterns on the bottom. And then a few demarcation grooves with the triangular point tool. And then just to blacken those lines, I usually use Formica, but this time I've got enough cut of ebony or blackwood, which also worked quite well. And then time to cut the knob down as small as possible with a skew before actually harding it off and dressing it by hand. The cracks by this time are threatening to split the whole bowl in half, so I sealed the bottom and went back to the super glue. If you don't seal the bottom before you put the super glue on, it gives it very big horrible stains. So the black glue used to highlight the stain, highlight the cracks, and also a bit of coffee grounds as well. I didn't finish the outer side of the base off as well as I would have liked to have done, unfortunately, because I was worried about it splitting. So my bad. It looks fine, but not quite as good as I'd have liked as a finish. So just a little bit of the copper Hampshire Sheen wax just to embellish the texturing a little bit. And then I had to pick it out of the grooves to highlight the black, make sure it was all finished, and then a couple of coats of gloss lacquer. And there we have it. Like it or hate it, never mind, there it is anyway.